hard on the proposal for the next book.
I was going to say, can you talk a little bit about the next book?
Yeah, so the next book, I mean, I love the concept. It's so much work. I think I've maybe bitten off a little more than I can chew with my concept, but I feel really good about it. And so in the first book, when I did Lara in the Kitchen, it was really an introduction to the book world. And what I did was I wanted to give people a good array of easy recipes that they can do. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we included was 2 categories for entrees, because I've had many, many girlfriends call me on a Tuesday afternoon saying, hey, I'm going to go to ShopRite, which is our local grocery store, and I'm going to get all the ingredients to make lasagna. And this is at 5 o'clock in the evening. And I'm thinking, are you crazy? Are you crazy?
That's a project to embark on.
That's a weekend project, honey. That is not a Tuesday afternoon project. So what I did was I divided the recipes between weeknight meals and weeknight entrees and weekend entrees. And people loved the concept, that concept. People loved those categories. And so when I was thinking about the next book, I thought, you know what I really want to do? I really want to do a book full of meals from Monday through Sunday, because, how I cook does change throughout the week, So Monday through Thursday, I really try to make it quick and easy most of the time, like a one-pot wonder thing, or less than 30 minutes, because let's face it, I don't have very much time.
Yeah.
And also I feel like I have a really good balance with how I eat, because I get a ton of questions from people that ask me every day, how do you not gain 100 pounds every time you eat something or you cook something? Because people really believe that I may make brownies every night and just binge on them every night. I'm not really sure.
Don't you, Laura? Come on.
Oh, wow, I wish. But I really don't. I actually feel like I have a really good balance with how I eat. Monday through Thursday, I try to keep it lean and mean and flavorful and delicious. And I try to and we always just keep our treats for the weekends, because that's how I grew up.
Right.
I grew up with, there was no tasty cake in the cupboard. There was no pre-made anything. You want a cake? Well, Nonna would make it on Sunday morning.
Make it on Sunday, exactly.
If you want a donut or croissant, you go to the local bar in the morning on a weekend and you go get them. It's a treat. It's not a necessity. It's not like something that you have every day. So I thought that would be a really great way to not only fill a book with wonderful meals that you can make from Monday to Sunday, but also sort of share with you how I eat and the balance that I have found in my life. Because a life without baked goods and all things Italian it would be very boring and lonely. But in order to enjoy those things and not feel an ounce of guilt, I do really well during the week.
I love this philosophy so much. And I wrote about that in my book too, having this balance. Like, I think people assume that, you're sort of a martyr in a way when it comes to food choices. And then when they see you eating a dessert, they're like aghast. But
I know.
It's really part of being a well-rounded, healthy person.
It is. And, when I say to people I eat really well during the week, people also think, well, you must not eat any carbs then, because there's such a negative connotation to like the idea of eating carbs at all. I love my carbs. I had a sweet potato for breakfast this morning.
Yeah, 100%.
I had a sweet potato for breakfast this morning. And, but I just try to make much better choices during the week so that I know that when comes the weekend, I'll get to enjoy all the things that I love without any guilt. And I also don't overdo it. I don't like to eat past a certain time. I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting, just because it feels good to me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you have to find a balance that feels good to you. But this feels good to me. So I want to put all of this in a book, because I think it would be so easy for someone to open up a book and say, what should I make this week? And have something laid out for you that is going to make you feel good. It's going to make life easy. We're going to do a little bit of meal prep on Sundays to have a leg up during the week, and also have a little bit of fun on the weekends. Like for me, every Sunday it's got to be Italian pasta night. That's just what we do. Yeah. Sunday is an Italian dinner every Sunday. Saturday is usually a really fun, relaxed meal with friends, whether it be a burger night or we did tapas a couple of weeks ago, which was fabulous. but I just try to have some fun. And all the recipes are going to be easy to shop for and easy to make, of course, but all so delicious. So that's sort of the idea. The idea is to write a book full of delicious meals you can feel good about eating, making, and shopping for. So
I love that. And I think sharing with people how to eat in balance is really important. I mean, in a world that, you know, you kind of have to wear your badge of honor by how you eat, I mean, that doesn't really tell me anything. I want to know what you eat, not what you don't eat, you know?
Right. Someone once said to me, and it stuck by me. It stood by me, for years. They said, you know, how you eat most of the time is what tells the story, not how you eat all of the time. And that really stood with me. And I thought, that's really genius. That's really genius.
Yeah, it's kind of like one good meal won't make you fat, or one bad meal.
Yes.
Won't make you fat. One good workout won't make you fit, you know?
My favorite is when I read one burger will make you fat, just like one salad will make you skinny. Exactly. That's my favorite. That's my favorite. And I also think too, there's such and this is where the Italians do this very well. The Italians, when they'll make a cake, they'll have a slice, and then they pass the rest around, or they bring it to the neighbors, and that's it. You don't feel the need to have a second slice and then put the rest in the cupboard, and then at midnight you go back to have another one. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, but that's the approach that I take, because when I eat that brownie, I'm talking about brownies so much because I made pecan pie brownies last week that I can't stop thinking about.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so good.
I had that brownie. I loved every single second of eating that brownie, and it was rich and delicious, and it had all the things I loved, but then the rest of it went to my neighbors, and I'm done.
I want to be your neighbor. How does one sign up to become your neighbor?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I'm
teasing. No, I'm a big believer in sharing is caring, you know, and when you can share something that's so delicious. Oprah actually said this, you know, when she has something so good, there's nothing more enjoyable for her than to share it with somebody she loves, because you just enjoy it exponentially. So, I mean, is it, at your table, okay, I'm going to ask you some esoteric questions. If you could invite 3 guests, living or deceased, to your table to enjoy dinner, who would they be?
It would be my grandma, it would be Jamie Oliver, and it would be Nigella Lawson.
Oh, wow. So
hands down.
2 foodies in addition to your mom, your nonna foodie.
Yes, because I would make my nonna cook and that they can eat the food. But yeah, I think I really enjoy Nigella's perspective of food, because again, she's not trained, and she just, you know, loves to eat, and she loves to cook, and she does it really without apology.
Yes.
And I love Jamie Oliver in general. And then when we met in person and he was so sweet, I was like, well, forget this. I mean, he might as well just run for president, because I'm buying whatever he sells, you know, just because
he's pretty authentic guy too.
He is. He's very authentic, and he just has such a distaste for anything that's prim and proper and teeny tiny. And, you know, I love that. Love that. And I've always felt very, very comfortable watching his food programs and just being in his presence in general and talking about food. There are 2 people, along with many others that I've met in this field, that have never looked down on me for not being trained, even though he was. And that's a hard thing to come by.
I think it's becoming more and more common though. You know, I think that, you know, training is one thing, but implementation is another thing, and having a style that people can respect and understand. And, you know, I've met some of the best chefs, but you wouldn't put them in front of an audience to teach them. That's just not what they do. So I think along this road, you know, you find people like yourself that just excel. It doesn't matter if you have that formality. You know what to do and how to do it. Have you ever had like a major fangirl moment? Like when you've met a lot of people now and you're at the top of your game, but like, have you ever met somebody where you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm standing in front of you and talking to you?
Yeah, it was when I met Nigella Lawson for the first time, because I was at the Food and Wine Festival in Miami. And I was walking into a party, a tent, I really don't know. And I had my head down, and as I'm walking, I put my head up and I literally bumped into her, like literally, like my face into her body. And I looked up and I went, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. I love you so much. Goodbye." Like it was so oh my God, I was so like out of it and confused, and I was like so embarrassed. And she was, of course, nice as can be and so beautiful. So beautiful. I mean, it was really insane. And actually, Anthony Bourdain was there as well because they were doing promo for a show, and he was so cool. Oh my!
I wish I could have met him. I
just
looked
took
up to him
my
so
hand.
much.
Yeah, I introduced myself, and he looked at me and he said something along the lines of "So nice to meet you," and he just grabbed my hand with such grip, and he was so cool with his like, you know, chain on his jean. You know, like he's
Tony Swagger.
He has such swag, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the epitome of rock star, you know? So that was really a cool time. But I've never really been starstruck like I was when I met Nigella, because again, I literally bumped into her. So it was sort of like she was there and I've loved her for years, and then my face was in her body. So that was kind of like awkward.
That's kind of funny, actually. Have you had a moment where somebody has really fangirled or boyed over you? And what did that feel like?
So I have those moments often, and it's always so surreal, and it's so much fun. It really is. It's so much fun. The two times I can't really remember that were hilarious was the one time I was walking to Italy in New York City, and there was a lady coming out of a bank, and she bumped into me, and she was screaming because she had seen me through the window.
Oh my!
And she was screaming, so that was really funny. And then another time,
people on the street, like, what's going on? Has somebody been shot?
I don't know. She was, and I didn't even know what she was talking about. She was just screaming.
That's hilarious.
And so that was funny. And then another time, we were running around in the airport. I think it was in Frankfurt Airport, and you know what you look like when you're running. I mean, I know what I look like running through the airport with a 1-year-old, try to catch a plane, like no makeup, sweats, and there's these people following and they're yelling my name. And I thought, because we had just gone through security, I thought I maybe left something, or maybe it was security. I wasn't sure. But it was a group of people that were following me, and they were yelling my name because they had seen me at the security checkpoint. They couldn't get to me fast enough.
Wow.
So before we boarded the plane, we just took pictures and signed a bunch of stuff, and I looked like death.
I highly doubt that. But that's kind of cool. I mean, you're in Germany. You're like,
I know.
Too.
Yeah, and it's another interesting part was when I went to Canada. I went to Canada, to Toronto a couple times, and to Montreal, and I had no idea how many followers I have from either place. And every time I walked 10 feet, there'd be another one. And it was the coolest experience because I had no clue.
Wow.
And so every time we went somewhere, they'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm such a big fan, and you need to go here to eat because it's so great. So we would go there to eat because it was so great. And then we would meet somebody else there, and they would tell us the same thing. So we would go somewhere else. And we ate our way through Toronto based on people's recommendations for each place we went to, which was fun.
I love that. Well, and people who love food always have good recommendations. So that's a great way to go. So what does life look like for Laura 10 years from now?
Only time will tell. I'm hoping, maybe a couple more cookbooks, perhaps maybe expanding our family, God willing. I don't know. I really don't look too deep into the future because I feel like I won't be present if I do that. I'll focus so much on what I can do to get there that I'll miss the boat on where I am now. The only thing I can think of is maybe some product lines, more books, and maybe more babies.
I love that. So I could talk to you forever, but we're kind of at the end of our time, and I have 2 more questions to ask.
Sure.
One is, if there is something that you could pass on, a piece of advice to your younger self, or your more, let's just say your more inexperienced self getting into the industry, what would it be?
Don't be so worried about what other people think about you, because none of it matters. None of it matters. Stay true to yourself. don't focus so much on wanting to be like someone else, because as you are, you're good enough. That would be my advice. Because when I first started this, I was so worried about not being trained, not being good enough, that I was doubting myself and how I like to do things. That authenticity is what's gotten me here to this point.
Yeah.
So don't question it so much, and don't beat yourself up for it, because what keeps